Welcome to the third episode of the MC Knitting Adventures podcast. My name's Colleen.
And I am May, and today our adventures take us to Toronto, Ontario. It was such a great trip, and I'm so excited to talk about that.
Welcome if it's your first time with us, and welcome back if you're returning.
Before we start, Colleen's going to talk about what we're wearing today.
So May is wearing the Anguli Cowl, and it's by Hilary Smith Callis. And I've done this cowl for you 3 times, 4 times, lots of times.
Many times.
Many times.
And different colors, of course.
And different colors, absolutely. And I've actually made one for myself, but I'm not sure I'm going to be able to keep it at this point in time, because she seems to like that one too. I've made this out of Barocco Comfort sock, so there's no wool in it. It's 50% nylon and 50% acrylic. The first one that I did for her was navy and white, and you had to alternate colors, and there was a lot of ends to weave in. And this one is actually a sock yarn that is, I think, self-striping, and so it creates the stripes in the cowl itself, and I really like it.
I really like it too. And I realize there's no wool in it, so that's why it feels so soft against my skin. That's excellent. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're very welcome. So that's what May's wearing. And I'm wearing, it's called a kerchief. It's the Age of Brass and Steam kerchief. It's by Orange Flower Yarn. I chose to use Nuna yarn, and it's by Mirasol. It's a sport weight yarn. It's got 40% silk, 40% merino wool, and 20% bamboo. It's very soft, and the silk really gives it a shine. And so what I like about this yarn is that they give a portion of their profits go to schools in a region of Peru called Muñani. And being a teacher, I love that they give some money back to schools.
Yeah, that's a really nice thing to do.
Exactly.
That is nice. Yeah.
So I really like it. Now the pattern itself, there it is. It is for, you can make it a small kerchief if you just used 50 grams, but I decided to use 2 balls. I think I had just a little bit left, but I really love how it sits. And this was actually the first, I will call this a shawl, the first thing that I actually blocked properly. And I used some wires, and I used some blocking combs and some mats. And I actually just bought the mats, or kind of like exercise mats, at the superstore, the grocery store that I go to.
Those are the mats that are square that they interlock.
Absolutely.
You know,
yeah. Now you can buy blocking mats at yarn stores. I just happened to have some of these and gave them a try, and I really liked how they worked. So it's nice to see what happens when you take your project and you block it, because it does open up, especially when there's some lacy kind of detail. It really opens it up, and I really like it.
It does make a difference. I was quite surprised. So yeah.
Absolutely. So that's good. So before we start our adventure to Toronto, which was wonderful, we're going to talk about finished objects. Now we're going to talk about my finished objects. So in the previous section, we talked about May's Anguli cowls and how much she loves them. So I have made one for myself. So I'm going to have her hold that up. I'm taking my life in my hands when she's got it in her hands, because she may want to have it. So the first one I made for May, I did navy as the main color and white as the contrast. And so that I didn't run out of yarn, I just reversed it. So I wear a lot of navy, and so I think this will sit nicely on top of whether it's a navy turtleneck, navy t-shirt, whatever. It's so soft and comfortable, and I really like how the stripes pop in this. So once again, that's Barocco Comfort sock.
Look good on me.
Well, yeah, it would look good on you, but it really is still mine. We may share. Every once in a while we do that, so I hope that I get a chance to wear that. It'll be good. Okay, so that's the first one. Secondly, I finished Scott's birthday socks. So as I mentioned last time, I have decided that for all the people in our family, I'm going to make them birthday socks. So Scott's birthday is coming up 2nd of February, so the good news is they're done. I haven't blocked them yet, but I will do that very shortly. These are in the Saki bamboo. It's a self-striping yarn. It's made of 50% merino superwash, 25% nylon, and 25% bamboo. And it's the Garnet Ridge colorway. I used 2.25 millimeter DPNs, which were the Nova Platina cubics.
And you know what? It's fascinating to me, this yarn that is just self-striping. And I often wonder how they do that. How do they do that? Do you know, or is something we need to investigate because it's fascinating?
It's a process where they have to create what's called a warping board, is my understanding, and then each section is dyed a different color.
Oh, because people, when I show them the socks that you've knit for me, they often think, wow, you had to use all those colors. And then I have to explain about self-striping yarn. So it's really cool how that does that. Yeah.
This pattern is, I've also mentioned before, it's Katy loose sock pattern. It's by Dragonpine Designs, and those people that do the designing are part of the London Yarns family. Okay, so that's that one. Now, over the holidays, I decided to make something for myself, and this is called the Snow Day Shawl. It's by Mina Philipp.
I need some help.
Yes, I need some help. So we're going to hold this up. I've got a few ends to weave in, but that's okay. And I do need to block it.
I love the it gives it a texture kind of look with what you've done there.
Beautiful.
I don't know what that is in knitting, but that is such a great texture.
Yeah,
Lovely.
It's going to be warm and cozy. I used the Cascade 220 Sport Wash, Sport, and I used 3 different colors. This is the Como Blue, this is the Summer Sky Heather, and this is just white. Now, I will show you the pattern. There it is, the Snow Day Shawl by Mina Philipp, and as you can see, I really like the colors that she chose, and I felt I was really lucky to find something that would be very similar. So I'm really looking forward to blocking it and then wearing it, because we're still pretty cold here in Ontario.
Right. I love the colors.
Exactly, me too. Now, last time I was working on these mitts. I'm going to let May put them on, and these are the Semplice mitts. There's the pattern, it's by Knit Picks. And the person who's actually designed it is Stacy Winklepleck. And I used Simply Crea yarn. There's the ball band for that. And it is 100% baby alpaca.
Oh, it feels so soft. And these are great for if you have to text.
Exactly. So that's the idea. We're also thinking that at some point in time we may venture to Scotland, and rumor has it that it's a little cold there sometimes. And so I think if my hands get cold, which they tend to do, those things would be easy to put in a suitcase and easy to use.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So that will be a great adventure if we get to do that. So I'm hoping sometime in the future we'll do that.
Good adventure, yes.
All right, so thanks for being my model there, Vanna. I appreciate that very much. Anyway, and so now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about works in progress. Now we're going to talk about works in progress. So when we went to Little Red Mitten in St. Thomas, we picked up some Koigu yarn. So May chose this lovely plum color. Ooh, sorry for the noise from the needles. If you can hold that up, that would be great. So it is a Koigu scarf. The pattern was free with purchase. You can do it in moss stitch. You can do it in stockinette stitch. I'm choosing to use just garter stitch, but I love the shape. It's going to be about 36 inches across and then a depth of 18 inches. And I'm going to use up this. I think they talked that you could single crochet the bottom. I may try and do some other finish at the bottom, but I think you're going to like that.
I think so too.
It's not quite as soft. Yeah, I'm hoping that when I block it, it softens up a bit. I know that garter stitch, as you can tell, if you just take a look, if you block it out, it stretches it a bit. So I think that's going to help out with that.
Great. I'll look forward to wearing that.
That's that one. Perfect. The next thing we're going to talk about is the Mystery Knit Along by the Cozy Up with the Stitch and Sisters. Oh my goodness, I'm absolutely loving doing this shawl. So the idea is you get a clue, you do the knitting for the clue, and you have no idea how it's going to turn up. I'm using 3 colors. I'm using 2 from Vivid Yarn Studio. One is a royal purple, and the other one is called Dragon Egg. That's the speckle. And then the jade color is a Cascade Heritage Silk. Now May's doing a great job holding that up so you can't really see what's going on.
It's a sneak peek.
Because it's a paid for pattern, but I really am enjoying this. And they've done a really good job about making the clues doable. I work full time, and so I don't have time just to sit and knit all the time, but I'm loving that, and I'm being able to keep up, and I really, really am enjoying it. Yeah. So thanks to those sisters from Grand Prairie, Alberta in Canada. You've done a great job, and I really appreciate that. So that's the second one. Last time I was talking to you about Knitted Knockers, the organization that helps with cancer patients, and it's a knitted breast prosthetic. And what happens with that is you can go to a yarn store, you buy specific yarn, so it has to be the right thing that's going to be okay for sensitive skin, that's going to be comfortable, that's going to breathe. And the one that they use a lot is what I've chosen to use, which is the Cascade Ultra Pima Cotton. We mentioned that there's lots of colors. I know that I have some cream, I've got a lilac purple. I decided to do one in black, and just to do something a little different. The way that it works, I'm using DPNs, which I'll talk about in a little bit. So if you can hold that for me. The way that this works is I've done the front, so it will be stuffed, and then it gradually decreases and you end up with an opening at the back, so you can put in whatever level of stuffing is required, and then you can just tie it off. It's an easy knit. I want to do a lot of these, and I want to take them to the stores. So in the London area, you can take them to London Yarns, you can take them to Mary Maxim, you can take them to Knit Stitch. Some stores will actually let you, if you're not a knitter, will let you buy the yarn and give it to the store employees, and they will make some. Yeah. And they're drop-off sites. They then will send them to the organization in Canada. Their website is knittedknockerscanada.com, and they will send it to them, and then they distribute them to people who need them. It's of no cost to the people who receive them.
And I know you mentioned this last time, but you have done this for a friend of ours, and the feedback is that she loves it and requested more. So, you know, I think that people really appreciate that. So, you know, good job for doing that.
So if you have a little extra time with your knitting, I would know that everybody would appreciate it if you would do it. It does come in different sizes. It's okay, just make whichever size that you want to make, give it to them, and it will go to the right person. Now, these are not cubic needles. As you notice, they're different. And that's because I purchased them before I started using cubics, but it has some sizes that I don't have in cubics. So my son lives in Hong Kong. My oldest son lives in Hong Kong, and he often will give me an Amazon e-gift card. And so what I get to do then is go onto Amazon. Of course, I go into the knitting books and into the knitting section, and I try and find something that I would love. So last year when he gave me a gift card for my birthday, I thought, oh, I would love to get some different DPNs. And I'd heard people like Sandy Rand from Sandy by the Lakeside, a number of people, I'd heard them say that they liked the Knit Pro Zing. So I decided to order a set. There it is. There are 3 on that side and 3 on that side.
Kind of opens up like a pencil case.
It does, actually. If you can do that, that would be great to show you. Perfect. So the one that I'm using for this knitted knocker is a 3.5. I just need to check. So we have a 4, a 4.5, a 5. Now I get to check my eyes, a 3 and a 2.5. So it's a great set. I love the case. It keeps them organized, which is very helpful when you've got lots of knitting needles on the go. So that's one thing. And while I'm talking about my son from Hong Kong, for Christmas he sent me a lovely package that included some markers from a store called Muji. When I was in Hong Kong visiting him, I went to that store and absolutely fell in love. There is one in Toronto, so we can talk about that when we talk about our trip to Toronto. But when they sent me some markers, they sent me this plastic case. Okay? And that plastic case is a great thing to hold your notions. It holds 6-inch DPNs, it holds stitch markers, it holds everything, and everything is protected. And it's easy. So I keep that in my knitting bag. So when I take it with me, I have everything that I need. So even though he's far away, he remembers me, and I appreciate all that he does. And I really enjoy being able to buy something that I use and remember him when I'm using it.
And I know one thing you said when you went to Hong Kong, you said they're very efficient with having so many people there. You said everything's very efficient, and this reminds me of Hong Kong. It's very efficient, and same with this type of thing. It's good. So,
absolutely.
Awesome.
Yep, it's a great place to go to, and I'm really glad that I had the opportunity to go. So that's my works in progress, and now we're going to talk about our adventure.
Today's adventure takes us to Toronto, Ontario, which we had a fun day. We went to Ripley's Aquarium, we went to Romney Wolves, and we just had a great time.
It was fantastic, and thank you so much for letting me go to the Wolster.
It was awesome. Now, we live in London, Ontario, and it's about a 2-hour train ride from London to Toronto, and you end up in Union Station. And when you get off at Union Station, it's just a little walk, not too far, to the aquarium, so it's very convenient to get there.
And it was really cold the day that we went, so it was nice that it was inside.
Yes,
walk.
that was important and so convenient. Now, on our way past that walk, there is a UPE station, and that stands for Union Pearson Express, and it's a train link that takes you from Union Station, Toronto, to Pearson International Airport.
How convenient is that?
It's very convenient. Now, that was built in 2015 for the Pan Am Games, and just a little tip, I think it cost $450 million to build that.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. And also they used to charge $27.90 for a trip, and then people weren't using, that was pretty astronomical.
Right.
And they cut it right in half. So when I used it not too long ago, it was $12.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so it's very convenient. You get a lot more ridership now. I highly recommend taking that to the airport. It was just so convenient and it was great. So as you're going to the Ripley's Aquarium, you walk past the UPE, and we get into Ripley's, and phenomenal place. Just, this aquarium was just, they have different kinds of sharks, 2 or 3 different kinds of sharks. They have stingrays. They have a huge sawfish. And what I know you liked about it, Colleen, is that they have a conveyor belt. You get on this little conveyor belt, and it moves very slowly, and you actually feels like you're right inside an aquarium. So above you and around you is all these fish. It's just phenomenal. And when we were there, we saw a scuba diver who was down. I don't know if he was actually feeding the fish or he was fixing a pump, but it was really cool to see that.
That was my favorite part, because it just, all of a sudden, it was so quiet, and you didn't have to move around, and you didn't have to find a spot. You had your spot on this little sidewalk that moved, and you could just look all over the place and let the moving sidewalk take you.
Yeah, it was great. Very child friendly, so if you want to take your kids or your grandchildren, very hands-on. A lot of things for kids to be hands-on, playing in water, touching squid or shrimp or whatever they were able to touch, certain things, and there was an area for them to wash their hands afterwards. Right. So very child friendly, lots of space, lots of place for children to run around. But we enjoyed our day there. One tip, if you are going to do that, we heard that it's better to book your tickets online if you're planning on attending that aquarium.
Yeah, and that's what we did, so we didn't have to stand in line to buy our tickets. We could just take our ticket with us and we'll go in.
We went on back to the Union Station, and we went on the subway.
We picked up the subway. We took it up to Queen Street. We went up top, and then normally we would walk to Romney Wolves, but it was so cold that we didn't. So we took a streetcar, and it was really quick. I think there wasn't much waiting.
Oh, there wasn't. The streetcars come quite quickly. They come, I can't even say how fast they come, but there's a 501 streetcar we took. I remember that.
That's exactly what we waited for. That's perfect.
And we got off right at Romney Wolves. And you can talk more a little bit about that store, Colleen, because you were kind of impressed with that store.
I have been to that store, I think 2 or 3 times, and I love it. It's big. It's got a high ceiling. It's like one great big room. There's a place to the side when you walk in, and that's got books. Oh my goodness, so many books. It's got magazines, it's got patterns, it's got that. The knitting needles are right there as well. And then when you go in, the wool is organized by weights. So if you just take a right turn as you walk in and you go back, then that's all the fingering weights, all the sock yarns. I think you have a picture of me standing there, which I stood there for a while because it was just, oh my goodness,
overwhelming.
So overwhelming.
Yeah.
I was looking for a certain party of 5, which they didn't have, but I know after Christmas people had been buying all kinds of things. And the other thing that I was looking for was some yarn, and I'll show it to, I was able to find what I was looking for, so it was great. And they have needle sets. They have individual needles. They have metal. They have bamboo. They have wood. They have all kinds of knitting needles. So anything that you need, they have there. The selection is amazing, and they have all kinds of notions as well. The one thing I didn't make you do was go down in the basement. Now, that basement, You have to go in because it is where they've got all sales. So yarn that's been discontinued or yarns that they've just decided to put on sale are down in the basement. It's a little around the corners that you go, but it's amazing down there.
Yeah.
And lots of people go down there and find great finds down in the basement
sure
where they put
do,
their sale.
yes.
Yeah. So that's what Romney Wool was like.
Thanks. And while you were in Romney Wolves, I went out and went to different stores around there. A lot of cool little stores along that little strip there.
Absolutely. And I really hope that we can go back again when the weather's
When the
warmer,
weather's
and then you and I are going to walk.
Yes. And I think, my photography is going to only improve when the weather gets better, because I was out there at -17 trying to take a picture in my hand so I could stay froze to the camera. So I'm hoping my photography will improve as we move along.
Maybe I need to make you some of those Semplice mitts.
Well, that's a great idea. Yes.
Yeah,
I could just borrow yours, though.
No. I think I have some lovely gray yarn to make you some, so I'll make you some.
Well, after we went to Romney Wolves, we had made arrangements to meet a couple of friends at the Eaton Centre in Toronto, and it's a huge shopping mall, of course. Some of you may know that. And it's just massive, and the amount of people there, and it's like Hong Kong. It's very efficient. We went to get lunch, and there's like 5 or 6 people serving you, and they all seem to have their job, and lunch was great. We met up with these friends who we love so much, and we had a great day with them. After meeting with our friends, it was almost time we did a bit of shopping ourselves.
Yes, I'm just going to mention the store that we went into. It's
Okay.
called Uniqlo, and it's one of those stores that when I was in Hong Kong, I found this store, and they've got really reasonably priced clothes, and they've got all kinds of staples, so turtlenecks and long sleeve t-shirts, and they have all kinds of really cool things as well, and they've got athletic stuff, and it's a great store because the prices aren't crazy, and yet it's really fashion forward. And I loved the store in Hong Kong, and I was so glad that when they put one in the Eden Centre.
Right.
So that's
great.
the store.
Yeah, there was a lot of different stores that we don't get in London also.
Right, absolutely.
So that was great. And good buys too, because it was after Christmas sales, so there was lots to buy there. We had a great, then we of course we have to go to a Starbucks. That's our thing.
Yes, it is.
And
what's your favorite there?
Caramel latte.
You like that? I love the Cool Lime Refresher. And then what do? We split a blueberry bar because, so good.
Yeah, the blueberry
They tell me it's the healthiest. I'm not sure, but it tastes really good.
It tastes healthy.
It tases healthy. Actually, no, it doesn't taste healthy. It tastes really good.
I don't know. Yeah, that's
good.
Okay, so then after that, we get to the Union Station again, and we always get business class home. Not that we're snobs or anything like that, but if you don't take business class, you end up being in this huge long line up at Union Station forever. If you take business class, then you get to go to the Via Rail Lounge, and there's free coffee and pop, and there's internet access, and you can just what it is lounge there until your train comes.
Exactly.
So we lounged a little bit in there. I went on the internet.
I did some knitting.
You of course you did. And then we went and got on the train. And on the train, when you take business class, dinner is included with a couple of drinks. So you have a little wine, you have a beautiful dinner, and the meals in the train
was really good.
Was really phenomenal for training. We often take business class to Toronto and to Quebec or Montreal. We love that.
Exactly. Montreal. Maybe we should go to Montreal sometime.
That'd be one of our adventures for sure.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. So the train is up. It's just a great experience to go on the train. Yeah. And I would love to take the train out west at some point too, through Canada.
I think we've got lots of adventures on our horizon. I think it's going to be great.
Yeah. And so we enjoyed our trip. It was a fantastic day. And we headed home. It was about 8 o'clock at night, so we were pretty exhausted after that. And I'm looking forward to the next adventure. That was our Toronto adventure. Yes, now Colleen is going to be talking about
my souvenirs.
Her souvenirs that we purchased in Romney Wolves in Toronto.
Exactly. Sometimes we call it retail therapy. Sometimes we call it acquisitions, but we talked about that
I call
earlier.
it Colleen's stash.
It's my stash. We call it souvenirs. So that's what we're going to talk about next. Now we're going to talk about souvenirs. We're actually going to talk about 2 different things. I'm going to talk about souvenirs that I picked up in Toronto, and then I'm going to talk about some Christmas gifts that I received. Some of them were things that were ordered, and then it took a little while to come in, and so that's why we're talking about it now.
These are some things that you brought at Romney Wolves?
Yes, everything that's purchased, I will let you know that I bought at Romney Wolves.
All right.
Okay. So first of all, I was looking for some sock yarn. I wanted some self-striping sock yarn. And once again, I really like Mirasol because they are the people who Yep, it's Khusku. And they are the people who are going to give some money back to schools in Munyani region in Peru.
Nice.
All right. So if you take a look, it's got, what colors do you see in there? I see that there's black
Purple,
and purple.
gray.
And gray. It's a beautiful color. And we've discussed already that I love purple. So I was really, really happy with that. And I was glad that they had this colorway. This colorway is called Andes Mountains. And that yarn is 40% wool, 40% bamboo, and 20% nylon.
Nice.
And I liked it so much that I picked up a second one. And this one, well, first of all, let me talk about socks. I am still trying to figure out what sock pattern to use with self-striping yarn so that the heel doesn't change the striping pattern. So if you are able to, comment below, give me some hints and some names of some patterns that would work or some heels that work for you. I really want to try something different. The heel flap and gusset I've tried a German short row heel. So anything, let me know how they work and what fits best for you. That's going to help me out with that. I do have another question. So I picked up a second ball because I just love the color so much. And I do wear black and I thought this would be nice as a shawl, just a one skein shawl. So I'm not sure how the self-striping will work in a shawl. So I'm going to try to take a look. But if you've got any ideas for that as well, and feel free to comment and tell us what you like about what we're doing. Tell us what any ideas for a pattern. I would really, really appreciate that. So that's what I bought for me.
Nice.
This next one is for me.
Oh, I love this.
I know. This is the Naked Sock by Wisdom Yarns. So it is 93% acrylic and 7% PBT. It's the Bright Spot colorway. And it is beautiful, and it's going to be beautiful on you.
I like that.
So that is going to create, surprise, surprise, an Anguli cowl for May, just like the one she's wearing.
Oh, nice.
It'll be similar to that. And I'm hoping that there might be enough yarn left, maybe to make a pair of Turkish bed socks or something like that. I've seen some of those knit up on the Cozy Up with the Stitch and Sisters podcast, and I'm thinking that might be a good thing to do.
That sounds good.
As I mentioned, Romney Wool also has a whole lot of needles, and because I'm trying to use the Nova Platina Cubics, I needed to get some tips. The Mystery Knit Along by the Cozy Up with the Stitch and Sisters requires you to have 2 needles, and I only had one set of 4.5 tips, and so I got another one. So it right now is on the project. I also bought a 5 and I bought a 4, just in case I need to have those. It's great that you can buy them like this. I have all kinds of cords, so that wasn't a problem. And so that's going to help me out a lot because, as I mentioned, this has really helped my hand out, my thumb that I had trigger thumb with. It's healed. It's not doing anything right now. So that's fantastic. So that was my souvenirs from Romney Wolves. I could have spent lots of money in Romney Wolves, but we were coming back on the train and I got what I wanted for the most part. I was looking for a specific party of 5, and so what I didn't find it. They didn't have the colorway. They had lots, but they didn't have the one that I was looking for. So when my mom gave me some money for Christmas, now we're going to talk about what my Christmas shopping was. I thought I can order this. And
online?
I ordered this online. So
Amazon or?
No, actually I had purchased some cubic needles from Webs. It's actually yarn.com. And I have had no problem having them ship the needles to me. It's been easy. They've done a great job. It's always on time. And so I'd never ordered wool from them before.
Right.
And I thought, yep, I could do that. So I ordered some sock yarn. Which might be a surprise for you at some point in time. But I also ordered this Sweet Georgia Party of 5. So this is the Honey Fig colorway. And once again, surprise, surprise, there's purple. But I love that pop of yellow. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it yet. There is a Stitch Bliss cowl by Cozy Up Designs. There are gradient shawls. That's a possibility. So I'm still thinking about what I'm going to do with it, but I just love that colorway and I'm really glad. So thanks, Mom. I really appreciate that. That was a great present. We have 2 good friends, Paula and Lori, and they were asking me around my birthday, it's in November, what would you like? So I said, well, listen, I know that you sometimes go to Montreal and there's this lovely yarn store, and if you could, I would pay for some and give you some money for the other and it would be okay. And they said, well, that would be perfect. We'll get you a gift. So I asked for a few things, and they graciously, for my birthday and for Christmas, put it all together. And so I am so blessed to have those people in our life. I really like it to have them in their lives. I'll just show you what I picked up. So first of all, it looks like jewelry. So this is the wrist ruler. It is by, I think it's called Lovely Workshop. It's LVLY Workshop. This is the medium brown. I love it. It is, if you take it off, it is a ruler. It's got centimeters, it's got inches, it's leather. I think it's kind of funky a little bit.
Yeah, cool.
It actually would go really nice with your outfit.
It's so practical. I'm into practical.
Practical's good.
Yes.
And I love that they have different sizes. I have kind of thin wrists, and so this is perfect for me. It's loose enough, but not that it's going to fall off my hand. So that was the first thing. I had always wanted some scrumptious pearl yarn. So there is the ball. Oh my goodness, how beautiful is that? This is the Berrylicious colorway.
The colors are so wonderful together.
I know.
I would never have thought to put those colors together.
I know. And I love it. And I'm not sure I'm going to be able to knit it because I just like how it looks so much. Nice. So yeah, it's beautiful. And it is 80% superwash merino and 20% nylon. And there are 400 yards in here. So it's going to make a great pair of socks. I am really looking forward to that.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's good. And the last thing was another gradient set. This is by Julie Asselin. It's Lezu fingering. And this is the Aura Sun colorway. And I'm sorry for the noise from the bag, but it goes from a gray to a gray, light gray blue to a darker gray blue, and it just goes down. And I am in love with this. And once again, I'm not sure what, it's going to be a shawl of some kind. There is a Genesis wrap. I think it's by Lolodidit. I'm thinking that might be one. It might be something similar to the Katy one. I don't know yet, but I love having it, and it's going to be something very special. It is 90% superwash merino and 10% silk. And what I'm finding is when there is a bit of silk in your yarn, it's such a shine to it, and it's beautiful. So maybe sometime we'll try and find you some silk.
Is there silk in this?
There's no silk in that.
But it's soft too.
It's very soft.
Yeah.
So silk has a little bit of a shine to it, and that's, I really like that it kind of glistens a little bit. So thank you to Lori and Paula. Thanks to my mom for my Christmas presents. I really, really appreciate them all. And
thank to you for the trip to Toronto. That was
was
fantastic.
great.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm so glad we got to go. We weren't sure with the weather what it was going to do, but that's why we went on the train, because we thought the weather didn't matter. We could get on the train, and it worked really well. And so I always appreciate going on the train.
Yes.
I love the train, and I love going to Romney Wolves. So that was special for me. And that was a great adventure and a few great souvenirs that we got there. So thanks.
Until next time.
Take care.